Everybody, hello, how are you? Shooting live across the planetary internet, Web 3.0. We're not actually on Web 3.0 yet, are we? Are we? Anyone know about this stuff? So, boom, going here, going there. Everybody jumping on, saying hello. How are you on this lovely Wednesday afternoon? So, what have I been up to today? Well, today you're going to hear, I promise, if you stick around, you're going to be shocked. You're going to hear some stuff that you probably might not want to hear, and some stuff that's probably going to open your eyes a little bit. So, what have I been doing today? Well, mainly today, I've been spending a lot of time listening to music, very, very aware of the language in this music because you're vibing high and you're actually casting spells. I managed to kind of loosen up some buried emotions. So within some of these songs, actually, Sia, I I'm Unstoppable has been basically in my ear all day, and it just keeps bringing floods of tears, but not floods. They're there, but I haven't been able to open the gate to them, and I want to open the gate to them because it's been a good few years since I was man enough to let myself go in that capacity, and a good old cry occasionally really, really loosens up a lot of physical trauma and emotions on a cellular level in your body. So it's super, super important. So, what am I going to shock you? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret of stuff that I buried for many, many years. Well, it's something that I'm understanding more now, but my superpowers, my inherited gifts, superpowers of the universe buried inside of me, I am able to kind of read people's emotions and pick up on their vibration and their energy and see people as light, as aura, as energy. And I now sometimes, when I think back to me being a confused child or having learning difficulties or getting bullied or not being, not being understood, so very misunderstood as someone growing up, even into my young adulthood and stuff like that. So now with that level of awareness, I can kind of go back and I can see situations and also remember situations and times when I was kind of stood there and could feel something wasn't right, where the language being used was telling me everything was fine. So I can go into that stuff all day, every day, but it's a little bit wishy-washy, and I can't talk that freely right here about it. But that's what I've got decentralized platforms for. If you don't know what that means, basically it means I've got my own web page. It's not a web page; it's a platform, but same difference if you don't know the difference. So people can come over there if you want and see some stuff which is probably a little bit more risque, can use certain language which you can't use on these platforms because they are somebody's like property and real estate. So you walk in someone's house, you basically got to wipe your shoes, do what they want with their rules, and that's fair enough. It's their house, we play by their rules. But unfortunately, though, the reason we need to decentralize and the reason why I've like moved away is because the last couple of years doing like sort of digital marketing, holistic work, therapy with people, hypnotherapy, and even just trying to find and like learning stuff about myself, about the previous 40 years of my life, and why why family are the way they are and why I'm the way I am, and the relationships that I've had and the confusion and the negative energy around all that. So a massive, massive secret, and I haven't come out and told anybody this. Well, a couple of years ago, and anyone knows me really well might remember me having a really bad accident in Spain. People thought I'd lost my fucking mind. Well, what was going on there was basically I had it. I was completely blinded by this. I studied for a couple of years NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and I also studied hypnotherapy. So, hello everybody that's on Facebook, TikTok. There's quite a few of you on. Don't forget to throw up any questions if you want, and I will get to them if I can. So that's cool. And I was helping someone when I was in Spain after the first lockdowns, and they were telling me about inappropriate family members kind of abusing or like the whole gaslighting and manipulation and conditioning and those kind of things. A lot of people actually go through it, and it hit me like a fucking sledgehammer. Exactly the same happened to me. I did realise a few years before, when I basically my godfather, my dad's best mate, and someone that was a very, very trusted family member, like a mentor for me, like my best friend, a father figure, a big brother, all these kind of things. Basically, the dirty fuck. I used to get pissed up and smoke gear and all sorts with him and just like pass out in a safe place, I thought. And then one day when I was 35, I basically woke up with him basically copying a film, getting a little bit too friendly. This has happened to me over the years a couple of times, and the third strike was the fucking last time. It happened to me when I was about 18, 19, when I was on holiday at a party. I didn't think too much of it then, just fucking, just get on with it. Don't put yourself in that situation again. And it happened again in my probably mid-20s, and that was at a house party, like my house party, and a load of friends were around, and a gay friend of ours basically went round, and a few of us had passed out on sofas and shit where we'd been up all night drinking, partying, and basically someone went to the toilet and caught him copying a film. So that time, that geezer almost disappeared. I actually called off the wolves and said, no, I don't want it, because I'm a nice person, right? And I was like, I don't want any harm to come of him. I grew up with a gay uncle as well, so I'm very kind of understanding of being around people that some people might be uncomfortable with. But me, it's you just grow up with it. It's normal. So as you can tell, I'm the energy around this. I'm trying to just get the information out to you. Something that I buried for a long time because people won't believe you. So I completely understood, how other people that being abused and raped and things like that. I completely understand why people basically don't want to fucking talk about it. My response from my partner when I'd basically first discovered this stuff, I said something and she basically laughed. Thought I was joking. So that really had this massive effect on me. So I basically just buried it and didn't do anything. So, but then I was very much aware. I was aware of what had happened, and I was aware of not to trust this person 100%. I kept wanting to say to myself that I was wrong about it, and I never called him out or anything on it. So then I basically was in this relationship where everything was fine, but I was kind of guarded somewhat. So that's fine. So 3 years later, I ended up going to Amsterdam with this person, and some more kind of things happened where they were being coerced into doing certain things. And it wasn't until a year later when I went to Spain, was helping this person, and we were talking about the level in which people, the thing that comes to mind is Stockholm syndrome. So you actually have this mentality of your abusers when you think to yourself, it's not something for dinner conversation. Well, don't fucking watch then. If you're watching it whilst having your dinner, then don't. Swipe left, your choice. Letting my cat in. Come on, Jazz. Sorry, the little shit claws my carpet up if I don't let him in. So I was aware that, wow, my first went, I can't help you. So I referred this client to someone else and went, shit, there's things that I need to really kind of open up about here and be aware of. So I was really grateful that I was shit, it's just coming to my awareness that this person had actually, you're talking I was probably 37 at the time, and I'm thinking, shit, this person's been in my life the whole time, and they weren't always my friends. So it wasn't the issue I had was about friendship and trust issue and relationship, and questioning that if you say your best friend or a partner and you find out when they've say been cheating on you, I think the thing that bothers people most is the mistrust, because you didn't see it, or the agenda, someone's lied to you so much, or they said that they care for you, love you, want the best for you, and then really they've got their own sinister kind of agenda behind it. So I knew that was super powerful and super important to be aware of. No, silly, I meant talking about is not something for a dinner conversation. I don't understand people who tell everyone that they ran into that they've been sexually abused. Actually, I think most people have. But no, this is more a case of telling people about, we're getting to the end. We're getting to the end of why people, what my point is, which will shock you, is why people think it's okay to do these things to one another. And people are abusing each other mentally and physically always. It's just to what level. But yeah, so many people, even in relationships, marriage relationships and stuff, people have get sexually abused and things like that all the time. I'm not talking about, and sorry if that's a trigger for you, but it's important for people to know that it's okay for people to talk about stuff, whether or not it's as a party and it's a friend or someone's been inappropriate, but it's okay. But you then need to go and do the work. The worst thing to do is actually bury stuff. And even if it's confiding in a friend, because of what effect that has on your body, emotionally. So what is the point and why am I getting to it? At the moment, people, and a lot of people have reached out to me, especially when I've like worked on doors and stuff, and people are like thought alcohol, and in that environment they kind of let themselves go and maybe come out and be a bit more honest. And people have kind of said, oh, it's something's happening to me recently where I just feel more emotional, or I don't understand why things are getting on top of me now when they hadn't done before, when they'd already gone through the whole COVID lockdowns things, they seem to be on top of things. And I said, well, are you aware of solar flares and spiritual, like, sort of energies and stuff? I don't really like using spiritual word that much these days because it's not, well, it is spiritual, but people then start thinking about religion and shit. Where actually, I'm just talking about the science, because all of it is science, essentially, when you're talking about feelings, energy, and that kind of thing. The religious construct is kind of almost a bit man-made, and I'll get to that later. So it's really, really important if you know, so there's solar flares and stuff at the moment. So there could be things like technical, electrical or technical blackouts and that kind of thing. And it's probably to do with the solar flares rather than anything more sinister. So be kind to yourself and don't worry. But most, a lot of people that are like empaths, or this essentially is why we are experiencing the biggest awakening the planet's ever seen or known about, and that's because it's purely to do with frequency and stuff like that. Some people might turn around and say, oh, with the Great Awakening and the Great Reset, bring it on because people are just, just shits really, and they think, oh yeah, they're going to run up debt, get their debt wiped off, and they can just live easily and freely. Well, these are the people that think like that are kind of like attributing the biggest part of the problem, as well as the people that are making up the rules. So we were born free people, right? No, we weren't. We were never. And this is what might going to shock you, and this is why it's important for people to understand that when they kind of feel uncomfortable, when they don't know which direction to look in, or what they need to do for them to feel better. It's about oneness and going within and understanding certain things about like our creation myths, and to be a baby and to actually have these like abilities, like your feelings and emotions, your kinesthetics, and them to be basically suppressed by the people that you trust, the gods and the people around you that you're learning from, telling you no, everything's okay, even though they think that it's not, like they feel that it's not. How much of this happens in relationships when, like, by the way, guys, when your missus turns around and says it's okay, it ain't okay. Someone on Facebook, I don't know who it is, but yeah, saying that they were multitasking and that what they're writing, I read it. They didn't mean to kind of come out like they were attacking me or something, but I really don't care. It'd probably be better if you were, because if you were, it'd get more engagement on the post anyway. But yeah, no, I'm not going to like write a fucking book about this stuff. I just want to make aware that I've not openly spoke about my superpowers, as it were, or my purpose and gifts and what I can share with people. People do tend to understand it, that work with me closely and know me closely. But some of like my friends and family don't get this stuff because they think I'm fucking mental. And that's fine, because that's something that us that stand in our light and truth, we have to build resilience and tenacity up, because I know a lot of people that are into spiritual modalities, holistic modalities, into helping, healing, and all these different things. And yeah, half of us are batshit crazy. Why? Because we have to be that level of, like, to have that level of awareness, you've got to understand certain things. But at some point, you would have had to have gone through so much painful stuff so that you came through the other side and then looked in areas to heal which weren't actually shown to you by anybody. Because it's painful whenever anybody turns around and says something like something that's happened or something that's inspired them. A lot of people then, well, let's face it, people don't give a shit, full stop. A lot of my, like when I've come out and said some emotional things and tried to open out or had a cry for help in the past from family and friends, people, as general, people aren't fucking interested. They say they care. I've done a lot of work in previous years with prevention of male suicide. And a lot of the people that we work with or we spoke to after people have taken their own life or attempted to, will make it all about them and the guilt that they have. And, oh, but if they didn't, why didn't they tell me? Why didn't they reach out? These people often do, but we've been conditioned to be shits and to be more focused on ourselves than outwards. But you do need to be focused on yourself, because at the end of the day, your self-care is what's going to take you like forward in life. But also, coming from a place of kind of compassion and understanding, and to understand what's going on in our heads is really, really important. And this is one of the shocking things I want to tell to you today. So you're born and you're this free spirit in this vessel and you come along. But then as soon as we are born, we're actually born into a society which is an enslaved society. So you get your birth certificate and then you've got a little number on there so you can be basically tracked, and then you've got like a worth, you've got a value of sorts, because you're now depending on what country that you live in, you're basically you're owned by the state to a certain degree, right? And then you then got to go about education system, like your parents got to send you to school and pay for you to go to school and pay for your lunches and all this stuff. If they don't, they get put in prison or you get taken away from them. Then you're basically being geared up to basically go into a system and society that you're going to be indebted to, like a longer education system, or you're going to go into some sort of employment and start paying into the system and paying back, and start paying and contributing towards your own pension and stuff for your retirement years, which is absolutely crazy that people are now working to like 67 multiple jobs, and a lot of people can't even retire when they get there. So when I was growing up, there would be one car families, a lot of people's parents were married, homeowners, that kind of thing. Now, fast forward to even say like 20, 30 years, and then most people's parents are single, or in all the people I know, I probably only know maybe a handful of people's parents are still together. And I'm old school like that. I would like to meet someone and be with them forever, like a penguin. But I know that in reality, because of society-wise, it's been kind of dictated and twisted and manipulated by whom? We'll get to that. Manipulated and told this is the way we have to live our lives a certain way to keep us suppressed, so that we don't actually like thrive as humans. And there's so many different things that I'm going to tell you about that stop us from thriving. We're basically the pure, beautiful vessel. And then as soon as we come into this existence, we then start getting poisoned. We're poisoned in our mind, we're poisoned in our bodies. And then we're basically on this hamster wheel of being kind of stuck within these systems. These systems, by the way, and these laws, a lot of them are fucking illegal. I had some asshole yesterday fucking trying to tell me that I couldn't go into a store with my own bottle of water, and was like trying to kick me out. And he was trying to say to me, look, it says here, no water, no food and drink. And I just went, I don't give a fuck, mate. I said that you are not taking my water off me. I said, my water is medical grade water. I don't even have to discuss this with you. I said, I can either speak to my lawyer or my doctor. I don't even talk to the police about this. I said, so I suggest that you walk away, because I know my rights and the law, and I bet I know it better than you, because you're pointing to a sign that also tells me no mobile phones. You're going to take mobile phones off people when they come in your store? So fuck off. So I'm not having people treat me like a mug. I had most of my life where I felt I was always trying to care for other people and always trying to be nice, but I was very misunderstood, very angry, and a fucking arsehole a lot of the time, because it was what protected me. And I know there's a place for ego now, because with ego strength and its protection, but I'm not going to get into that now. But we're being poisoned from the inside out, and a lot of that poisoning and programming comes from things like TV. Like look, just listen to the language. Television. Then we have fuck's sake, can't even talk. You have I give up. You have channels, and channels could be like frequencies, stuff like that, and then you also have programs. So look up things. Oh shit, I can't even say the words. But there are things you can look into that have been like government initiatives and stuff for like a long time. But at what point, and this all comes and stems from one place, the Global Federation Monetary System. So it's the God, why have I got such a brain fart just now? The federal bank, the global banking system. So they're in a right old shitty mess right now. So you're talking about like elitist families that have got hundreds of years, have been the richest families, and then over hundreds of years, they can then secretly behind the scenes basically pull the strings, say who can breed with who when it comes to royalty, monarchy, public figures. There's secret societies behind as well. And then you've got like, did you see the biggest party for the secret societies the other night at the Oscars, when you've got a lot of these, pedo elitist types that are into all sorts of horrible atrocities and strange and wonderful things. And they basically just think we're just a bunch of fucking puppets that don't really know what's going on. Most of you don't. And I do want to say that if any of you know some of this stuff and it's like harrowing and scary and you don't want to talk about any of it, that's fine. But you You honestly, I'm going to attack you. I'm going to attack you now. By you knowing this stuff and by not doing anything and burying your head in the sand makes you worse than the fucking people that are doing it. It does. Because you're just as bad. You're complying with it. You're complying with it. You're allowing it to go on. You're not having the fucking cojones to stand up and say, look, I know it's difficult. People like me in the future, if we're not careful, we've still got a little bit of freedom now to try and, just spread word or offer support. And it doesn't want to be about bloody negativity. But a lot of this stuff is very negative, and the reasons behind it, it goes real deep back. You're talking hundreds of years. You're talking about creation myths. You're talking about science being covered up. You're talking about our very existence. We need total disclosure. We need total disclosure because the people, the money men at the moment are shitting themselves because of a thing where clever people, the great awakening to a point is almost like the digital revolution we're having because it's giving us freedoms, to create our own economy with like creator, freedom of speech, with the blockchain, with crypto, with Bitcoin. So why would the global banking system be shit scared of this? Because they can't fucking regulate it. Look at the coaching industry. It's unregulated. The coaching industry is fucking fake. And I'm so sorry. I've got so many beautiful consultants and coaches and holistic people. But from my experience, most people trying to do some sort of healing therapy with other people are more fucked up than themselves. Or they're doing it from the place of actually trying to heal themselves and make themselves feel better about the fucking shit they got going on in their head. Coaches and consultants, most biggest problem people have is actually believing that they can do it because they don't believe that they're worthy enough. Why? Because of they know that to a point, yes, when they've overcome certain things, they can help people within their own niche, but also that's a trigger and taking them back to where they were to a certain degree. So I've got on the wall behind me, I've got coaching qualifications, I've got NLP qualifications. But to be honest with you, I think the actual paper that they're printed on is fucking bullshit. There was at the time reasons why I did this because they've got certain affiliations with certain training bodies, which is better than some of the stuff you can just get off the internet, which essentially is like a 25 quid course, a bit like my PT and nutrition. I had to do courses so that I could actually train people in the park and have like a sports club and do that. And to have the liability insurance for like 5 million. It's crazy. So I needed those qualifications for the council to let me have a license, for me to actually be able to get that license, to then get the insurance to be able to go and train people, including children, when I was doing like dodgeball club or doing stuff with the Cub Scouts and that. So I knew I needed to have like tangible, real qualifications. But it turns out that what happens is when somebody comes along and regulates something, what they do is the money men will basically create the system to regulate it, but then they regulate it so that then they get rewarded. So they're going to actually financially be like in the green. It's gonna benefit them financially to regulate it, and then they can actually put their own governing bodies in to actually regulate it further. So what will happen is they'll turn around and say, well, we don't like this person, we don't like that person. So it's almost tender for the highest bidder, who becomes the regulator. Then they set the standard. So look at the pharmaceutical industry and medicines, for instance. Now, how this would have worked and this is exactly how it played out. You had certain money men that were the oil tycoons and all this, like say hundreds of years ago, and they didn't want people to be naturopaths and healers and all that. And by the way, every motherfucking illness on the planet is something natural can basically be the solution for you. It's simple. It is that simple. So we need to be taught and need to be teaching our children to drink water, to not drink Coca-Cola and pop and fizz, and to have ready meals and burgers and McDonald's. No, that is what's fucked everybody up. And it would absolutely make you crap your pants and make you throw up right on your laptop or your phone right now if I really told you what was in and what you didn't know was in a lot of that stuff. Now look at me. Look at my arms. They're big and strong. This didn't happen because I continued living the life like I did 4 years ago. This happens and happens very quickly because of my mindset, the habits and the choices that I make. But don't get me wrong, I've not got it all. I'm not sitting here a fucking millionaire in some ivory tower telling you what to do. All I've ever been doing is trying to send out positivity and light to get more people thinking in a way that's probably more conducive for their own fucking survival than the bullshit that they're listening to and suing. But don't worry, I was one of those people as well. I I used to do gear. I still smoke weed occasionally now. It's kind of like the only vice I have. I'd rather like have a doobie and just chill the fuck out, and I'm not hurting anybody, and it allows me just to shut my head off than to go out drinking alcohol, which is called spirits for a reason, and it's highly taxed. So the Great Awakening is super, super important to realize. This Great Awakening is there for you, not to you, for you. So you can actually awaken and start making some lifestyle changes and choices, or you can believe in the Fauci ouchie, realize that in time, this is talking about our soul. There's actually a war here, guys, and has been for a while, between good and evil. And us, the useless eaters, or the cattle, the sheep, we are the ones that are basically just puppets. So we've all got houses, right? And we've all got cars. Probably most of us have got cars that we can't afford, we pay monthly for, but we have it. Why? So that I've got a nice car. He's doing well for himself. Life is fake. Life is so fake. Fake like my fucking qualifications, but the experience is real. So the right people and the right communication and the right fields with the right people will mean that then there's a transferable energy, and there's that energy or that transfer or the payment that has to be made has to be of relevant value. It has to be a fair exchange, right? Like with anything. So if I'm a millionaire and I drop $1,000 as I walk down the road, bothered. But if I'm the mechanic, if I'm the 20-year-old that's working his bollocks off so I can just have the money to go and watch the football and have a pint every weekend, and I lose 100 quid, well, now it's a fucking problem, because that's a day's wages. So everything's relative. But what I really want to kind of shock and let you kind of understand, without, and I have to be so vague, because there's so much I can talk about. I can talk about creation myth, one. I could talk about religion myths and what I believe, and some of the research that I've done and the things that I've heard about. There's like, say there's hundreds of religions. Let's just say there's 50 religions, and all religions based from one thing, yeah? And then there's like different versions of it. Why would that be? Why wouldn't there all be one and the same, or just a very, very small amount? So, obviously Catholics are sort of Virgin Mary and blah, 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 and, it's different to Christianity because it's more Jesus and God. And, well, actually, there's a crossover. And no, it's actually all the same, but a lot of it stems back, it gets really confusing, but a lot of it stems back to the Catholic Church, and I believe the Catholic Church is fucking evil. And I went to Catholic school, and I am going to sue them because no one fucking abused me there. So it's us fat, ugly kids missed out on all the fun. That's not funny, but it's just me trying to make light of a terrible, terrible situation. But on a serious note, I've always been someone that I've looked at churches and that, and then I felt a little bit uneasy. And the reason I felt uneasy, even as a young boy, going into churches and stuff, was because some of like the gargoyles and stuff like that, which I didn't understand, because I would be like, okay, this is a holy place, a place of worship, but I would see some things in the churches which I didn't like the feels of, and I would think that like it looked evil or something. I now understand why that is as well, and I think that I look at churches as being banks, and I don't like the fact that you've got some geezer up there in a row telling everyone what they should or shouldn't do, or they should contribute money into and all that, when there is, and I'm not a big one for the Bible because it was rewritten by some fucker that doesn't want you to know everything in the original scriptures. So how many knows what is true in there and what not, and how much has been manipulated in a way for us to think and behave certain ways? That, in a nutshell, is the problem with our society right now, and it's been that way for thousands of years. Slavery didn't die. Slavery just evolved into us basically having like jobs and paying taxes. But the one thing that is really important here, and I promised you at the beginning, I'd say something that shocked you. By us having all these different, even down to football clubs, let alone religions and fucking cultures, even down to football clubs, how we want to identify. So I identify myself as a pussycat, but I'm a dog. And we got to respect that right now in today's society. What? I look like a cat, but I bark and I want to be called a dog, and I look like a cat. Fuck me. There's a reason for all this, because if you've got people kind of pulling in different directions, and you've got people that are saying, well, we're this club and you're that club, and we're this religion and you're that, you're all focused. We are all focused on the things that keep us different, instead of rejoicing and having so much love and happiness for the things that bring us together, which is like everything, by the way. But we're fixated on these tiny, tiny little things that aren't the same. And then we basically create these massive barriers. You can't come here because you're a this, or I don't like that person because it's a that. I thought before I did this live about football, and I thought, I meet someone and go, yeah, they're lovely. And then, like, I'm a Palace fan. And so I then turn around and say, oh, yeah, I love football, Palace. And so I've actually then experienced people turning around to me and say, oh, fucking hell, I thought I liked you. I don't like you anymore. But serious. And I'm like, I'm not a fanatic. I've had like bars and stuff and sports bars abroad, and I'm not a fanatical Palace fan in the sense of I'm going to turn around and say something. Well, you're Charlton. I'm not fucking talking to you. I'm like, no, keep it in London, brother. I'm always like love other London clubs. I like to have a little bit of banter about football. I'm not going to like be like, I ain't talking to you because you support Liverpool. It's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, right? So never mind. Let's have a read of some of these. We are all one, my brother. Yes, we are all one. So that was basically going to tell you some shocking truths. What's going to shock you even more so about me burying certain traumas and stuff like that, and getting over the fact that, you know, someone that I looked up to so much as a mentor and that was basically a shit, and so much stuff in the way that I behave, so many almost personality flaws that I have when it comes to kind of relationship flaws with the way that I used to objectify or like even look at women or like treat my girlfriends in the past. It's all a knock-on effect, like conditioning, manipulation, or the environment and who influences you, and you copy certain behavior. So if I'm 16 years old and I've got someone who I look up to who does drugs and parties and is very much a like philanthropist or you know, very promiscuous, that's going to look fashionable to me. And when I grew up, it was very fashionable to like we glorified gangsters and stuff. Do you know what I mean? The Crays and all these other people, we glorified them. When, you know, okay, we all know nasty people, and believe me or not, from my history, I know a shit ton of nasty people. I actually had to leave Spain once because I was going to get shot, and that's for me. For a private time or in my book, if you want to hear about that stuff, you need to come over to my private channel in a safe place and actually support my journey. That's a given. You can come and support my journey and learn about things like that. I ain't talking about that stuff on here because there's too many people behind curtains that don't give a shit and that need to be like shaken up and woke up themselves. And so that's why it's a case of doing what we do, spreading positivity and light on these socials. But sometimes we just want to shout out and just say, look, it's okay not to be okay to people. You know, there are steps, there are right ways and wrong ways to do anything, but what's right for you and what's wrong for me, you know, it could be vice versa. So I think that's basically about all I can kind of spout on about, really. I've been on here, 35 minutes. Yeah, I'm very, very much aware of empowerment. I'm going to be getting back into the gym. I'm going to get myself very, very big. I've had a couple of months off the gym. I've been going through some stuff. I had a relationship with someone, a long distance relationship in a different country. I thought by now, actually, that the course and the stuff and the support that I've been giving people would actually have more traction and more people would actually want to help me. But no, it didn't work out that way. So we are where we are. And that's fine. That just means that I need to do things slightly differently for it to work for us. And also, I want to be more transparent and more honest about why I'm doing things, but I can do that in my other network. I can't on here. Well, I do have to go now because I need to pee. Pussycat's over there, he's so cute. So I have faith that you're all really, really well. If you're watching this somewhere, please give me a hashtag replay. I got 150 likes and about 50 odd people on TikTok on this one. So I've actually probably gained a load more followers on there. So that's good. Real talk. Real talk. I mean, it's like most of you know me and I can just talk the fucking cows, you know, back legs off. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to do like try and do the longest speech. 48 hours is the longest individual speech. I don't even know how someone would do that. Right. How do you go about talking for 48 hours? Don't get it. So, thank you. Remember, and the point of all of this actually is that we actually, as one, we are so powerful and we've got so much goodness and love and so much power that's buried inside of us. And for the very things that I've shared with you today are some of the reasons why we bury those emotions and why we have limiting beliefs and bad habits. And that's what is really, really important here, is to know that those bad habits exist, because a lot of the time they weren't even yours. They're either something that's just we go along with because everyone else is. And that's that very point is the point which needs us to wake up and stop fucking certain shit that's going on now. Because if the global banking system are shitting themselves about the freedoms if we don't regulate cryptos and stuff like that, and they can't kind of bring it down because the tech's too on point savvy, so they need to play with it. But it actually destroys the system which has allowed them to gain their power and enslave the rest of us. So what does that mean? They need to regulate the motherfucker. So by them regulating, say like Swift payments with Ripple, which is with XRP. So I've been looking into this stuff. So it's the higher tier in my private network, the Bretsi network, over on Patreon, patreon.com/Bretsi. That's the tier where people work with me one-to-one and hear like the ventures and the stuff that I'm like growing into and growing through with like my own mentors. In like the like to be a disruptor, a collaborator, or even like to come in as Sleeping Lions, which is like £1 a week, to get like exclusive content, but actually get on calls as well to talk about this stuff freely, because you couldn't talk about like stuff freely, like just as we are now at all. But it also allows room for sharing and other people to actually connect and to actually not feel like crazy people. I know a lot of people that we don't talk about this stuff at all. I mean, we're over 2 years going around swinging around the narrative, and twice within that 2 years, I've had a month in probably after the first maybe 7 or 8 months, there was a month there that I had a wobble. And if I'm honest, about a month at the beginning of this, I've had a wobble where I've got like an awareness wobble, where I've kind of realised some things and I needed to shift or just go inwards for a bit and conserve my energy. When I do these lives, believe it or not, I actually physically feel exhausted afterwards, and so I'm mindful that I couldn't right now be in a place where I'm like, right, I'm going to go live 5 times a day and talk about stuff, because I'd actually need a support system, a network of people to support me to be able to do that. So I'm actually creating that network and that support system within my own the Bretsi Peoples Network, and so that we can do like fireside podcasts and to do other stuff that people want to collaborate with. Because when you're not on your own, it's it's a lot easier to bounce off people, and so it's important to have the right people. So the first step is, if you like any of the shit I've spoken about today, is go over to the Personal Freedom Movement, which is personalfreedom.terrylifestyle.com, or just put in the Personal Freedom Movement. You'll actually get in there. There's a little bit of exclusive content in there, and considering like there's only 200 people in the engagement in there, will be a lot better than like on my main pages, which have thousands of people on, but then maybe like 100 people comment or get involved. So I'm playing with it. I'm playing with all that kind of shit, and I know there's a lot of value for other people to be had, whether they want to like do social media marketing or there's things that they want to do, within their own business or awareness, because you've got this real estate as well, and your own personal brand is just how you're showing up. Really, really important. So enough of that rambling bollocks for me. Always shine your light, no matter the vibe. Yeah, that's the point. Thank you. It says Facebook user. I don't know who it is that's actually doing that. I'll see when I go into my pages in a bit. But thank you for your comments and your supports. It's very much welcome. Thank you. Gratitude to you, my friend. There's a clusterfuck of shit that's been going on and has been going on for like thousands, hundreds, thousands of years behind, and it's time for total disclosure. Total disclosure when it comes to things like extraterrestrials. The actual, do you know? Actually, I knew this before. You can get a magnet, right? You get a magnet, put a bloody stick like that with another stick there with elastic band around it. You can put a copper wire on that side, and you can put a fan on that side, and it will just go. That's free energy. That's like Tesla's free energy system, which we can all create. And there's actually cities. There's cities like in places like Kyrgyzstan, which are like abandoned cities, but these are like billions and billions of pounds, like marbled cities. And it's something like looking at like the state fairs from like hundreds of years ago. but they've actually got reusable energy in their street lamps and all that. And all it is it looks like these four, I do it like that. It's like these four holes. And what that is picking up the electromagnetic from the fucking atmosphere and it's converting it into power. This already exists. It's everywhere. The car that you can drive on water, and they covered it up, and the guy the guy basically like had cyanide or he got poisoned, and then as he was choking to death, he was like, "They've killed me. They've killed me." And it was like the afternoon after he'd gone to have a meeting about like getting it patented and to actually use it. He was just pouring water in his car and he converted this engine. Honestly, people can't profit for it. You think global warming is a problem? It's people over profit every time, and it's starting to drive me mad. But we have to have love and compassion and shine our light. And someone that's like thinks that I'm a nut job for believing and saying some of the stuff I do, they'll actually physically attack me. And then it's really, really funny to get into this situation, this dance where you're like, you fuck. Like if you stand in the pub and someone's digging you out like that, you're not scrapping with them. So I like people getting really personal, and I'm like, hey, wind your fucking neck in. Don't get offensive with people. Be careful with fucking language you're using. I said, because you're not talking to some mug here. You can talk about your opinion, and I respect that. But what I'm doing is shining the light in a different perspective, a different matter of opinion. And whether it's polarizing or whether it's right or wrong, the point is we're both in the same fucking storm. We're just in different boats. And I'm fine. I'm fine in the boat that I'm in. I'm lucky. I've got a few other people around me, and we're helping each other out. That's fine. But if some asshole comes past and starts like trying to like cause problems, it says more about the person causing the problems, isn't it? So none of this is about the whole people having polarizing opinions and different views pulling in different directions is the fucking problem. Because what happens is then we're all focused upon the differences that make us different instead of us all coming together and looking at the real problem. And you know what happens when we start doing that? We start making some massive waves of change because we'll realise these motherfuckers need fucking. There's a complete vote of no confidence. How the fuck has certain things not, or certain things been allowed to happen, and how the fuck are things not changing? It's quite frustrating. It's quite frustrating actually to sit back and watch this stuff pan out. It's saddening. And the reason it's saddening for me, and I will be honest about this, is because 2 years ago, when all this started, I was like, oh no, it's all coming true. True, the stuff that I'd been in my awareness from 2013 to 15, and some of the stuff before, like knowing about 2018. Look in history. If you look in history and see what's happening now, it's no better than some of the atrocities that happened in certain world wars before. But why do we allow it to go on? Are we that trusting? Are we that stupid? We've been that indoctrinated? Or we had that much fluoride in our drinking water and in our toothpaste that we can't fucking use our intuition? But we let these bastards poison us and keep us ill for so long and basically kill us. So we can basically be what? Batteries? So we basically be born into a society, earn money for other fuckers, which has got far too much. Why do they need it? What is the thing when they get to like having 100 million trillion fucking pounds? Why do they want to do more? Why are they looking for more instead of actually using that money to fucking help everybody, help everyone else, educate people? If there's too many people on the planet, stop them from fucking having babies now. If you're worried about there's too many people living older in retirement age, put some sort of system in there so that they can prepare for that and they get rewarded. Don't have the people paying into the system and then fuck them at the end of it when they're supposed to be getting, helped. Do you know how bad the system is? Is like when people in lockdown and they are genuinely, people that have worked their whole lives paying into the fucking system, and they can't eat all of a sudden, and they're told, oh, but you've got savings, you've got this, you've got that, and you can't get any handouts or help. It's like, what? So why aren't people helping each other? I don't get it. I think sometimes the problems we have in the world are quite fucking simple to fix. But it's lacking love and compassion, isn't it? And these motherfuckers can go over to places like Haiti and that and fucking give them injections for this and fucking condoms to that and stop the spread of AIDS and all these wonderful things. Great. Okay, great. But then what happens is there's all these places that are living in like slums and slots, like really bad, like what do they call it? Squalor. When people need like trades, people need education. Fucking don't get me started on the education system. Well, like, how much of that's fucking fake? Because they're not exactly giving people the skills and needs to be the best in themselves when it comes to mindset and physical and knowing about wealth creation. They're just like, you go and get a job, or you're going to get into 40, 50 grand's worth of debt and pay it off for the next 15 years. It's bullshit, isn't it? Absolute bullshit systems. And by the way, if your partner treated you like the government treated you the last 2 years, you'd fucking divorce them. Simple. You would divorce them. Motherfuckers, aren't they? Motherfuckers. So this is the truth. This is the truth. We've become the abusers and the victims in our own lives because of the way that we think and we talk about ourselves, let alone other people. The spells and stuff we've been indoctrinated, and the environment that we live in, within the food and with culture, and we're being programmed by music, celebrities, TV. It's a fucking mess. It's a real mess. And the only real control anyone have is by picking up their own self-development books. And even that's a bit of a farce, because you talk about law of attraction and holistic modalities, and people struggle with it. People are like, oh, don't do that meditation shit. It's not for me. And sorry, you shouldn't have a fucking choice. There's certain ways called human optimization techniques that we should and shouldn't be living to live in our best state to thrive. Sorry, that's not something that you should be turned around and be like, it's optional, like drinking water or breathing. No, it's a fucking given. You have to do those things. So I don't get it. Oh, hello. Comedy Fest. Just dropped the phone. Never mind. So yeah, human optimization. People that turn around and say, "Oh no," like I spoke to my father a little while ago, and I was talking to him about about positivity protocols and things like that, and he said, "Oh, I'm not really into that." You're not into being positive? Wow, fuck me. My uncle said to me when I was trying to talk to him about my water machines and how I was learning about water and about the different ways of being healthy. He lost a lot of weight. He was a really unhealthy man, and he was going to the gym and stuff. And I was saying about water, and he said, "Oh, I don't drink water." I was like, "What? You're made up of like 80% water?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't. I just don't like water. I don't drink water." I said, "We need to start drinking water. Water's in your coffee. Water's in your food." Blah blah blah. He goes, "Yeah, I just don't drink water." And there's no arguing with people. Do you know what I felt like doing? Smacking some fucking water into him. I was like, dude, people don't know about like water, about just basic human optimizations, about human factors, neuroscience, what we can actually do with neuroscience, like programming and stuff, and our awareness. Wow. And it's just science. That's all it is. It's science. Right, I'm going to go. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. So know this, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Truly. There's power in your mind. There's power in your thoughts. There's power in you. You are God. God is you. We are one and all the same. We are all and we are nothing. But we choose. We choose everything. So whether or not you want to shine the light or stay in the darkness, you choose. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a rant. I've got a team call in an hour and a half, so I better go and sit down and have something to eat. Cool, thanks guys. There you go. Throw us up a hashtag replay. Throw us in private comment. You like, you don't like, whatever. Never mind. And I'll speak to you soon. Take good care of yourselves. Peace. Peace out, Instagram. Love ya. End on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn and all the other places around. There's still 3 of you on. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Love you loads. Take good care of yourself. And remember, don't bury it. When it's time for unwanted feelings, it's time for healing. And it's going to come back and bite you in the arse at some point. So if you need to, get professional help.